sort of two things that you've mentioned that have stood out, and we've seen this being an issue. The founder agreement is a big one. We've got that as one of the tick lists. Have you guys got an agreement? Because we've dealt with founder fallout.
Yes.
And it's strange when they try to pull the foundation into that, and you're like, no, the foundation is completely independent, guys.
Exactly, yeah.
But the tax point is also very difficult because we've seen founders who didn't get good tax advice ended up with massive tax bills, and they're in a very weird financial position. And that's very bad for the protocol because you've got a founder with these huge liabilities potentially that they didn't consider and didn't think about. So I think very, very practical advice there. Carl, to throw it over to you a little bit, after we've got the foundation sort of established, you've got directors, everything else appointed, normally Lemma then steps into the picture and you start working with the team. I think the first thing is TGE that they're focusing on. What are some of the things that you start working with them to get to that point?
Yeah, no, of course. Wayne token is as we know in the world of crypto. I think after both parties have started, it's really setting that foundation up for success from day one. And a key part about that is understanding what the vision is of the foundation. And that informs critical decisions in the early stages. If the vision is it's a very tight-knit foundation that's very small, then you'd set up a structure surrounding that from an operational perspective that matches that. That might be a singular Slack channel, and that's where you run everything from, and generally emails and Slacks, that's it. Versus, and we work with foundations like the Ink Foundation that's far larger. And in that instance, that means you generally have a full Slack platform. You have Google Drives that's set up in operation for all of them, emails for every person that's part of that foundation operations, and you have internal policies, workflows, and processes that's built out for a large group structure of people. After that, we generally move into, and this is the TGE element, it's getting you ready for TGE. Engaging market makers is a critical piece. On which centralized exchanges do you want to list on? And that matters in terms of which market makers you can get. Certain market makers only work with you if you are listed on a tier 1 exchange. If you can't get a tier 1 exchange due to funding or constraints on your side, you have to start looking at other possible solutions on that side. And then getting ready for TGE day one. I tell this quite often to our clients, a good TGE is a boring TGE because it means everything flowed exactly the way it should have. But you don't get that without going through the motions of making sure you've got all of the boxes lined up. Everybody understands what you're doing, when we're doing it, where are we moving our tokens to, and everybody else that's receiving the tokens is also ready for it. A key example about this is you don't want to just transfer tokens to your market maker without doing a test transaction first. If you're doing your TG in the US and your market maker, the recipient is sitting in Singapore, and I'm doing mine at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, that is 11 midnight Singapore time, the person who's going to confirm that they've received the test transaction probably isn't awake at that time. Suddenly you've got that slight delay built in. So we genuinely work with our teams in order to ensure that in cases like that, we have build in sufficient time or we have them on the line at the appropriate time so that we don't have that as a delay. You want that thing, TG is not a bell you can unring. So you want to, when that bell rings, you want it to ring as loudly and as hard as possible for success. And I think that that's what Lemma really brings to the table, is that knowledge and expertise from working with 30 plus clients and helping them achieve a successful TGE.